Before we begin, take a moment to get comfortable. Let your arms go heavy, your breath slow. And as you listen, feel free to leave a comment sharing what time it is, where you are, and what city or village you're listening from. It's love to know. And if you'd like more quiet stories like this one, don't forget to subscribe so they gently appear when you need them most. Now, let's begin. The earth that we walk upon, the earth that cradles our nights, does not rest in silence as it first appears. Beneath still forests, across wide oceans, even through the invisible currents of the sky, the planet moves with a rhythm so steady that we rarely notice it. It is there, patient, constant, always repeating. The earth breathes, not as lungs breathe, not with a sudden intake or a sigh of release, but with a rhythm that unfolds over hours, seasons, centuries. The breath of the earth is written in forests, in plankton blooms across oceans, in the unseen exchange of carbon and oxygen that joins us to trees and seas. It is a breath of quiet vastness, as though the whole planet rises and falls with a slow pulse. The hidden exhale of forest wind sunlight spills into the canopy of a forest. Leaves awaken. Tiny pores on their surfaces, too small to see, open like invisible mouths. They draw in carbon dioxide from the air and give back oxygen. This is photosynthesis, the quiet chemistry of life, the breath of green things. In the daytime, forests inhale carbon, exhale oxygen, filling the atmosphere with the element we need most. At night, they shift, releasing small amounts of carbon back as respiration continues. And so, the forest breathes in two rhythms, one tied to the day and night, the other tied seasons and centuries. Each leaf adds a whisper, each tree a longer note, until the forest becomes a quiet orchestra of breathing. We do not hear it with ears, but we live within its exhale. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, forests breathe onward, oceans that breathe with light far beyond the trees. The oceans carry their own breathing. Microscopic plankton, drifting in endless numbers, perform the same act as forests. They draw in carbon dioxide and release oxygen. So great is their work that every second or third breath we take may come not from a tree, but from these drifting beings in the sea. Sunlight pierces the surface of the water and fuels this invisible forest. Green-blue light scatters, plankton bloom, and the ocean itself becomes a lung, inhaling carbon, exhaling air. As waves rise and fall, gases exchange. The atmosphere and seas shared breath like two partners leaning close. It is not hurried. The exchange is patient, unbroken, softly repeating. The hum continues in silence. As oceans breathe with forest in rhythm, older than memory. The carbon cycle, as Earth's pulse, the air we breathe, is not just air. It is part of a cycle, a circulation of elements moving through soil, roots, clouds, and rivers. Carbon, the element of life, flows like a hidden current through all of it. It begins in the atmosphere, drawn in by leaves, bound into wood, carried into fruits. It moves through creatures that eat, that burn, that breathe, falls into the soil, dissolves into rivers, returns to the ocean, upping. And from there, with patience, it rises again, released back into the air. This cycle is the true breath of the earth. It does not begin or end, it only moves. What one tree exhales may be inhaled by another a continent away. What the ocean absorbs may be released centuries later into another age entirely. And so, the earth itself seems to rise and fall like a chest breathing. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, the planet's pulse continues. Breath over time breathing is not only a rhythm of moments, but of centuries. Ice cores, drilled from deep within glaciers, reveal bubbles of ancient air. Trapped within them are records of the Earth's breaths across hundreds of thousands of years. In warmer times, carbon in the atmosphere was higher. In colder times, it was lower. The breath of the planet expands and contracts, a patient rhythm, stretched across ages. Civilizations rise and fall in the span of one cycle. Forests grow and vanish, seas advance and retreat. But the breathing continues. It is as though the earth has lungs that expand and contract across epochs, a slow rhythm beyond human scale. The hum continues, softly repeating as time itself bends. Around the planet's breathing, the human connection our bodies are woven into this planetary breath. Every inhale we take draws in oxygen that was once inside a leaf, or a plankton cell, or drifting within a wave. Every exhale we give back carries carbon that will one day be absorbed again. We are part of the cycle, never separate. Earth breathes through us, and we breathe through it. The night is quiet. And in that quiet, our own breath joins the planet's. Silence that is not still to stand in a forest at night. To sit by the ocean in stillness is to feel silence. Yet that silence is not the absence of motion. It is filled with the slow exhale of leaves, the hidden currents of plankton, the drift of gases between water and air. It is a silence that lives, a silence that moves, even when we cannot hear it. The earth's breath is all around. It lingers in the cool dampness of soil, in the soft press of moss, in the faint taste of salt carried inland from sea air. The hum continues, softly repeating, as silence itself becomes a form of breathing. Night, as Earth's resting breath at night, the balance shifts. Without sunlight, photosynthesis pauses. Forests no longer draw in carbon with such vigor. Instead, they release what they stored. Gentle exhalation back to the air. The oceans, too, slow their photosynthetic rhythm. The breath of the planet becomes deeper, slower, quieter. But it does not stop. Like a sleeper resting, the earth breathes, steadily, even in darkness. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, Earth holds its breath gently in balance. The planet's shared exhale. What is most remarkable is how shared this breath is. One tree in a distant forest may give oxygen that enters the lungs of a bird flying far away. A wave cresting on one shore may release carbon that is inhaled by a pine tree across the sea. The atmosphere is a shared lung. It unites forests, oceans, deserts, mountains, and all who live upon them. The hum continues, softly repeating, as one. Breath connects all life. Breathing as patience. The rhythm of the earth is slow. It is patient. It does not hurry to inhale or exhale. It lets time carry each molecule, lets rivers and winds transport its elements. We measure our breath in seconds. The earth measures in centuries, yet both are breaths, both are rhythms, both are life moving in silence. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, patience itself feels like breathing. Toward the next silence, the earth breathes in silence, through forests and oceans, through roots and waves, through the endless cycle of carbon and air. Its rhythm is not hurried, but constant, steady, softly repeating. We rest within this breath, part of it, sustained by it, returning to it. And as we listen for it in silence, we notice that other rhythms begin to emerge, currents that drift above us, rivers of air that guide storms and clouds. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, the hidden rivers of the atmosphere prepare their endless flow. The oceans hold the earth in their embrace, covering more than 2/3 of the surface. They are the vastest presence on the planet. To look at Earth from space is to see a blue marble, wrapped not in forest or desert, but in the shimmer of water. And yet, despite their immensity, its oceans move with a silence that seems eternal. Waves rise, currents drift, tides breathe in and out, and still the sound fades as soon as it is heard. Beneath their surface lies an entire world where silence is not emptiness, but fullness. The oceans are quiet, and within that quiet, they glow light on the surface when the sun touches the sea, the ocean becomes a mirror. At dawn, soft gold spreads over the ripples, painting the water in shifting color. At noon, the surface reflects light so brightly that it seems like liquid fire. At dusk, it darkens into indigo, then black, holding only the pale glimmer of the moon and stars. The surface is never still, yet it carries the sky as though it were a second canvas. Each star above finds its echo below. When the night is calm, it seems as though the heavens have doubled the universe above, the ocean reflecting it beneath. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, the sea glows with borrowed light. The hidden rivers below beneath the surface. Currents flow like invisible rivers. They do not roar as rivers on land do. They move silently, steadily, circling the planet. Warm waters drift north. Cold waters sink south, completing loops that take centuries to finish. This global conveyor is called thermaline circulation, driven by heat and salt, carried by density and depth, yet the science is only part of its truth. In another way, it is the bloodstream of the planet, carrying warmth, carrying nutrients, connecting distant coasts as veins connect organs. It does not rush. It drifts, patient, unbroken. Each current is a slow exhale, softly repeating through the ages. The hum continues, though unheard. Its oceans circulate their silent pulse. The depths where light fades as one descends beneath the waves. Light disappears. Within the first 100 meters, colors shift, reds vanish, then oranges, then yellows. Below 200 meters, darkness gathers. By 1,000 meters, the sea is almost entirely black. This is the twilight zone, a place where sunlight can no longer guide life, and yet life persists. Fish with wide eyes drift upward at night to feed. Squid float in schools like shadows passing through. Even in this near darkness, there is movement. Deeper still lies the midnight zone, where sunlight never reaches at all. The silence here is absolute, yet the ocean continues its quiet breath. Pressure builds, cold intensifies, but the sea remains. Alive, the night is quiet, and in that quiet, depths glow with secrets unseen. The lanterns of the deep, though sunlight fails, light does not vanish. In the darkness of the deep, many creatures create their own glow. Bioluminescence, lives. Lantern shines from plankton, jellyfish, squid, and fish. Tiny sparks drift in currents like stars in water. Some glow to attract prey, others to confuse predators, others simply to communicate in a language of light. A wave breaking on a dark shore can shimmer with blue-green fire as countless plankton release light at once. At sea, ships leave glowing trails behind them, like comets across the water. In the deep, fish carry lanterns on filaments, luring smaller creatures closer. It is as though the stars have descended into the sea, and the sea itself has learned to hold them. The hum continues, softly repeating, as oceans paint their silence with light. Oceans, as memory water has been on Earth for billions of years. The seas that move now are the same seas that cradled the first living cells, the same waters that have risen and fallen with shifting climates. Oceans are memory, holding salt from ancient rivers, carrying nutrients from long-dead mountains. Every drop has traveled, evaporated into clouds, fallen as rain, frozen in glaciers, melted into rivers, flowed again to the sea. To touch the ocean is to touch a cycle without beginning or end. The ocean dreams in silence, softly repeating, remembering ages before memory itself. The breath of plankton within the upper layers of the ocean. Microscopic plankton drift. They are too small to see, yet together they cover the sea like a hidden forest. These plankton breathe with sunlight, absorbing carbon, releasing oxygen, shaping the very air of the world. Every third breath taken by land creatures may come from plankton. In their silence, they change the planet, as forests do on land. They bloom, they fade, They sink into the deep, carrying carbon with them. The ocean breathes through them. Its exhale is soft, its inhale patient. And so, the breath of the planet continues across both forest and sea. The night is quiet, okay? And in that quiet, plankton glow, unseen, their lanterns drifting upward in waves of blue dot. The music of waves, though. The ocean is silent at its heart. Its surface speaks. Waves crash, foam, whisper, then fade. On rocky coasts, they strike with force, sending spray into the air. On sandy shores, they roll gently, folding into themselves like blankets. Each wave is born of wind, carried across vast distances. Storms far away can send swells that arrive days later, their rhythm unbroken. The ocean surface is a metronome, marking time with each rise and fall. It is music without intent, endlessly improvising, yet always familiar. The ocean sings, not in melody, but in repetition. The hum continues, softly repeating. Its waves become the heartbeat of the shore. The ocean. At night, the ocean transforms. Without the sun, its surface reflects the sky. Stars ripple. The moon lays silver paths across the water. Far from land, ships seem to float between two skies, one above, one reflected below. Bioluminescent creatures rise toward the surface under the cover of darkness. Okay. Squid ascend, fish follow, plankton drift upward. The ocean becomes a migration of lightless shapes, moving silently as though in a dream. The sea dreams beneath the moon. Its glow is quiet, softly repeating, endless as the night itself. Oceans and us, for as long as people have lived, oceans have shaped our lives. They have carried boats across their surface, guided trade, migration, and discovery. They have fed villages and cities, offering fish and salt. They have inspired myths, songs, prayers, and fears. But beyond human need, the ocean is its own presence. Its breathing does not depend on us. Its glowing lanterns shine whether or not we see them. Its silence hums whether or not we listen. The night is quiet. And in that quiet, the ocean continues, softly repeating, always more vast than we imagine. Toward the mountains, the oceans hold 2/3 of the earth, and they move with silence and glow. They breathe through plankton, they light through bioluminescence. They dream beneath stars reflected on their surface. And yet, the planet is not only sea. Beyond the shoreline, land rises. Mountains climb toward the sky. They seem eternal, but even they are moving, lifted by slow forces beneath, reshaped by patient time. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, the mountains wait, growing while we sleep. Mountains appear timeless. To the eye, they stand as still silhouettes against the horizon, sharp ridges etched into the sky. They seem unmoving, as though carved in a single moment and frozen ever since. But this stillness is an illusion. Even as we sleep, mountains grow. They rise not quickly, but with the patience of stone. Driven by forces beneath the earth, tectonic plates push together, folding rock upward. Valleys become ridges, ridges become peaks. A single night shows no change. A single lifetime shows little more. But over millions of years, the mountains climb. They grow while we sleep. Their whispers hidden in stone, the patience of plates beneath the ground. Earth's crust is broken into vast slabs, called tectonic plates. They move slowly, carried by currents in the molten mantle beneath. Some pull apart, creating oceans. Others slide past, grinding fault lines, and where they collide, mountains are born. This collision is not sudden. It is a steady press, a pressure that never ceases. Each year, some plates move no more than a few centimeters, yet the push continues, unbroken over centuries. Over millennia, the Himalayas rise, where India presses into Asia. The Andes rise where South America meets the Pacific. Each mountain range is a patient record of pressure, of stone reshaped by unseen motion. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, countenance drift, softly repeating their slow embrace. Mountains, as sculptures of time mountains, are not only built, they are carved. Wind scours them, glaciers scrape them, rivers cut into their sides. They rise through collision, but they are shaped through erosion. Each snowfall that melts becomes water that trickles downward, carrying fragments of stone away. Each gust of wind wears surfaces smoother. Each freeze and thaw splits rock apart. Over time, peaks sharpen, valleys deepen, and cliffs form. The process is endless, sculpting without pause. Mountains are both growing upward and wearing away, a balance between lifting and carving. They are the planet's patient sculptures, shaped not by tools, but by time. The hum continues, softly repeating. Stone remembers every touch of wind. In water, the illusion of stillness. To stand at the base of a mountain is to feel small. To climb one is to realize how vast they are, how unyielding. Their slopes seem immovable, yet instruments tell another story. The Himalayas, home to Mount Everest, still rise about a few millimeters each year. It is not enough to see with the eye, but it is there. GPS satellites measure their ascent. Earthquakes echo the strain of plates pushing upward. Even in stillness, there is movement. Even in silence, there is growth. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, mountains continue their climb. One breath of stone at a time. Snow and moonlight at night. Mountains glow. Snow reflects the moon, casting pale silver over ridges and slopes. Peaks shine like lanterns of stone, cold but luminous dot. This glow is not fire, not life, but reflection. Ice and snow scatter the faint light of stars, making summits visible even in darkness. The higher the mountain, the closer it feels to the sky, the more it catches the moon's gaze. And in their silence, mountains whisper not in sound, but in presence. They stand as bridges between earth and air, summits whispering into thin heights where oxygen thins and silence deepens. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, the peaks shine softly beneath the stars. Rocks, as records, every mountain is built of rock, and every rock carries history. Layers of stone reveals seas long gone, forests buried, volcanic eruptions hardened into memory. In some peaks, seashells can still be found, carried upward from ancient oceans when plates collided. A mountain is not only stone, it is story. To touch a rock at high altitude is to touch history lifted skyward. Mountains rise, but they also reveal, they uncover what lies deep, bringing to the surface the records of Earth's past. The hum continues, softly repeating, as stone holds the memory of time. Life on the slopes, though mountains seem barren, life clings to their slopes. Trees root in crevices, moss grows on boulders, animals climb paths invisible to us. Above the tree line, where air thins and cold deepens, hardy plants bloom for only short summers. Ibex balance on sheer cliffs. Birds nest in narrow ledges. Snow leopards move silently across ridges. Life bends itself to the mountain's rhythm, adapting to its patience, surviving in its extremes. Even here, where silence feels eternal, there is breath, there is motion, there is life. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, mountain's cradle lives within their slopes. Mountains as rivers. Sourced from mountains, rivers are born. Snow melts, glaciers weep, rain gathers, and streams begin. They trickle downward, joining into rivers that flow across valleys, across continents, carrying life wherever they go. The Ganges begins in the Himalayas. The Amazon draws from the Andes. Countless rivers find their source in peaks of stone. Mountains rise, and in rising, they give. They gather water and release it slowly, feeding lands far away. Their climb is not only upward, but outward, spreading life across earth. The hum continues, softly repeating, as rivers whisper the mountain's gift. Mountains as sacred places for millennia, people have looked at mountains with reverence. They are temples of stone, places where heaven and earth seem to meet. Cultures across the world have seen them as sacred homes of gods, sites of prayer. Mount Olympus in Greece, Fuji in Japan, Kailash in Tibet, Sinai in the Middle East, Sich has carried spiritual meaning. Their stillness, their silence, their height, all draw human eyes upward, filling hearts with awe in their patience. Mountains seem eternal. In their silence, they seem divine. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, mountains hold both stone and spirit. The slow dance of erosion and growth. Mountains rise, but they also fall. Erosion wears them down as uplift pushes them up. It is a balance without end. The Appalachians in North America were once as high as the Himalayas. Now they are worn low, softened by time, rounded by ages of wind and water. Yet still, new mountains rise elsewhere, the cycle continuing. It is not a single event, but a dance. Growth and decay, rise and fall. Stone lifted, stone worn away. The earth never ends its slow choreography. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, the dance of mountains continues. The silence of the summit, the highest peaks, silence deepens. Air thins, sound fades, only wind remains. To stand near a summit is to feel the weight of stillness, as though the mountain itself breathes less, speaks less, becomes one with the sky. Here, the stars seem closer. Clouds pass beneath. The ground narrows to a ridge of stone, sharp against the heavens. It is a silence unlike any other, not empty, but immense. It holds the presence of earth and sky together in one vast stillness. The hum continues, softly repeating as summits whisper their breath into the thin air. Toward the hidden rivers of air, mountains rise, slow and steady, patient and silent. They are built by the drift of plates, sculpted by wind and water, glowing with moonlight, whispering into the sky. But above them, another rhythm moves. The atmosphere flows in rivers unseen, circling the planet, shaping weather, carrying clouds. Mountains feel this touch, guiding winds around their slopes, sending storms and shadows across their peaks. The night is quiet, and in that quiet air moves above mountains hidden rivers, flowing endlessly through the sky. The atmosphere seems still. On calm days, leaves hang motionless, and clouds appear fixed in the sky. To the senses, air feels like nothing at all, transparent, quiet, a silence that holds us without weight. But this stillness is only an illusion. Above our heads, the air is moving, not in small gusts or breezes, but in rivers wide as continents, flowing with a force greater than oceans. High in the atmosphere, invisible currents circle the earth. They never stop, never rest, never fall silent. These are the hidden rivers of air, the blanket around the earth. Atmosphere is thin compared to the size of the planet. From the ground, it feels endless, but from space, it is only a fragile shell. If Earth were the size of a globe, the atmosphere would be no thicker than a coat of paint. And yet, this thin layer sustains everything. It wraps Earth in protection, shielding us from radiation, burning meteors to ash, and keeping warmth within. It is the blanket we live beneath, soft and unseen. But this blanket does not lie flat. It flows, ripples, bends, and surges. Its movements are restless, like breath, softly repeating through the ages. The currents above, high in the sky, where planes fly and clouds stretch into long bands. The jet streams flow. They are narrow bands of fast-moving wind, thousands of kilometers long, circling the globe from west to east. The polar jet stream swirls near the top of the world, while the subtropical jet wends its way closer to the equator. Each one is invisible to the eye, yet they shape the weather we feel every day. Storms form, rains fall, heat waves linger, all because of these rivers of air. The night is quiet, but above the quiet, the atmosphere moves, softly repeating its endless drift. Why the air moves there is restless, because the planet is uneven. Sunlight does not fall equally equator, and poles receive different warmth. The earth rotates, spinning air into spirals. Land and sea heat differently, shifting balance. With each sunrise, warm air rises, cold air sinks, and in the meeting, currents are born. They climb, fall, and slide across each other, weaving patterns too large for eyes to follow. From these contrasts come winds. From these winds come rivers, and from these rivers come the weather itself. The hum continues, softly repeating, as the atmosphere breathes its invisible rhythm. Air as ocean, the air above us is an ocean, though made not of water, but of molecules too small to see. Like the sea, it has currents and tides. Like the sea, it carries waves across its surface. Canned, like the sea, it is alive with motion, even when it looks still. Pilots sometimes describe flying through air as sailing across a hidden sea. There are calm waters, gentle drifts, sudden storms, and turbulence, like waves crashing against the hull of a ship, to live beneath. The atmosphere is to live at the bottom of this invisible ocean. The night is quiet, and in the quiet, the ocean of air flows above us. Clouds as markers, though the rivers of air are invisible. Clouds reveal their presence. Thin cirrus clouds stretch in long, narrow streaks, carried by winds miles above. Storms spin when currents twist. Entire weather systems drift with the pull of these hidden streams. A single jet stream can guide storms across continents, steering rain to one coast while leaving another in drought. Farmers, sailors, and scientists watch the sky, reading these clues like a map. The sky is never still. Every cloud is a brushstroke painted by the currents above, and the painting is always moving, softly repeating across the canvas of the sky. Breath of the planet, the atmosphere does not move only in great streams. Even in the quietest night, air rises and falls in gentle patterns. Warm ground releases heat, lifting air upward. Cool valleys gather it downward. This rising and sinking is like breath. The planet inhales and exhales, slowly, continuously, without end. When forests sway, when fields bend, when waves ripple across seas, it is the earth's breath brushing against the surface. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, the planet breathes. Through its rivers of air, the jet streams influence. Jet streams may seem far above us, but they reach into daily life. They bring storms in winter, heat waves in summer, rains to crops, and winds to seas. They decide where deserts lie and where forests thrive. Even migration follows them. Birds ride winds across oceans, using invisible highways to save strength. Seeds drift with breezes, scattering forests. Even insects cross continents on currents they cannot see. Life itself is carried by these hidden rivers. The hum continues, softly repeating as creatures follow the path the air lays down. Air as timekeeper, the movement of air tells time in its own way. Monsoons return with seasons. Trade winds blow steady for centuries. El Niño and La Niña tilt patterns across decades. Civilizations have risen and fallen depending on these winds. Ancient sailors relied on them, charting courses across oceans, with no compass but the sky. Farmers planted by them, prophets wrote of them, poets described them. Air is both invisible and eternal. It marks the rhythm of human life as much as it marks the rhythm of the planet. The night is quiet, okay? And in that quiet time, drifts on hidden winds. The thinness of breath at the top of mountains, air thins, okay? Breath becomes harder to take. Voices fade. Fires burn faintly. This is because the atmosphere, vast as it seems, is shallow. Most of its weight presses close to the ground. Above 10 kilometers, the air grows thinner, colder, less able to hold heat. Yet even here, rivers flow. Planes fly in these currents, carried faster when they follow the stream, slowed when they fight against it. Every journey in the sky is a journey across hidden rivers. The hum continues, softly repeating, as travelers ride the streams unseen. Air and light, the rivers of air also carry dust, smoke, salt, and pollen. These tiny grains catch the sun, scattering it into color. Red sunsets, golden dawns, hazy afternoons, all are painted by the atmosphere's drift. Even starlight bends through the air, twinkling as it passes through layers of moving currents. Without this constant stirring, skies would not glow, horizons would not shift, colors would not soften. The atmosphere is both river and lens, shaping not only weather, but the light itself. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, the air colors the heavens, rivers that change with climates. The planet warms, the rivers of air change. Jet streams wander, storms grow stronger, rains fall in different places. These hidden currents shape the future as much as they shape the past. Their shifts remind us that air, though unseen, is alive. It responds to heat, to oceans, to ice, to human influence. The rivers bend, pause, and sometimes break into loops, sending storms where they rarely go. The air remembers everything, carrying history across the world, and still it flows, softly repeating, never truly still. The great stillness above even these currents lies a deeper stillness. At the edge of the atmosphere, air grows so thin it nearly vanishes. Here, winds fade into silence. Molecules drift apart, rare and faint. Beyond this, space begins. No rivers, no currents, only quiet emptiness. From this stillness, the hidden rivers below appear delicate, fragile, like thin threads wrapped around a globe. From this silence, Earth's breath can be seen in full. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, the rivers of air circle endlessly below. Toward the turning of the town poles, the hidden rivers of air circle the planet, unseen but felt. They shape storms, carve climates, guide life. They are the breath of the world, restless yet patient, steady yet always shifting. And yet, above their motion lies another force, one deeper, slower, more mysterious. Earth's magnetic poles drift across centuries, unseen but guiding migrations, shielding the planet from the sun. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, the atmosphere flows onward, while, slowly, the poles begin to turn. The Earth spins on its axis, steady and patient. Day follows night, seasons return, centuries pass. To human eyes, this rhythm seems fixed, unchanging. Yet deep within the planet, a slower motion unfolds, one that is almost imperceptible, but vast in consequence. The magnetic poles of the Earth are always moving. The hidden compass of the Earth. Earth is more than rock and ocean. At its center lies a core of iron and nickel, part solid, part molten. In this restless depth, currents of liquid metal flow, twisting and circling as the planet rotates. These movements create an invisible shield, magnetic field that surrounds Earth like a cocoon from the surface. It cannot be seen, yet its presence is everywhere. A compass needle quivers and points north. Birds feel its pull in their wings. Whales navigate oceans by its direction. Even the tiniest bacteria align with it, moving as though guided by unseen threads. This field hums constantly, softly repeating its rhythm. A quiet guardian of the planet. The wandering of the poles, though maps mark the north and south poles as fixed. Magnetic poles are not so still. They drift, sliding slowly across the surface of the Earth. Over centuries, they can move hundreds of kilometers. The North Magnetic Pole has wandered from the Canadian Arctic toward Siberia, drifting faster in recent decades. The South Pole shifts as well, less predictably, pulled by the same deep flows of molten iron within the Earth's core. It is a slow, patient turning in scene, yet steady. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, Earth's compass slowly rewrites itself. The shield against the sun, the magnetic field, is more than a guide. It is a shield. From the sun flows a stream of charged particles, the solar wind. These particles race through space at tremendous speed, carrying energy that could strip away the atmosphere if unopposed. But when they reach Earth, you meet the magnetic field. Like a river splitting around a stone, the solar wind bends. Most particles are deflected, flowing harmlessly around the planet. Some funnel toward the poles, where the field lines dip downward. There, they collide with the atmosphere and create light, the auroras that shimmer green, violet, and red in red. Polar skies. The field hums with this protection, softly repeating its guard against the sun. Creatures that followed the pole's life on Earth, tuned to this invisible force. Migrating birds sense magnetic lines, using them as maps during journeys across oceans. Sea turtles hatch on beaches, vanish into the sea, and decades later return to the very same shores, guided in part by Earth's magnetism. Whales follow its quiet pull across hemispheres. Even the simplest organisms, bacteria, too small for eyes to see, contain crystals that let them align with magnetic north. The poles are more than geography. They are part of life's compass, written not in maps, but in instinct. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, wings, fins, and sails all lean toward unseen directions. Reversals in the deep past the poles not only wander, they sometimes reverse. Over thousands of years, north becomes south, and south becomes north. The record of these reversals is written in stone. Lava that once cooled along ocean ridges froze magnetic minerals in place, capturing the direction of the field at that moment. Layer after layer shows the history of flips stretching back millions of years. The reversals are irregular, sometimes separated by tens of thousands of years, sometimes by millions. They do not happen suddenly, but gradually, over long ages of slow turning dot in each reversal. Earth does not lose its field, entirely weakens, becomes complex, then reforms in the opposite direction. Through it all, life continues, patiently repeating its rhythms. Human history and the poles for most of human history. The poles seemed fixed. Early sailors learned to trust the compass, unaware that the direction it pointed slowly shifted with each passing generation. Maps had to be corrected. Navigators watched their instruments carefully, adjusting for magnetic drift. Today, the wandering of the poles is tracked with satellites and models. Airplanes and ships use updated data to steer safely. What once seemed permanent is now known to be a life-changing, drifting, moving softly with the Earth's interior currents. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, the compass needle shifts ever so slightly. A field that breathes the magnetic field is not constant in strength. It grows stronger and weaker over time, as though it too breathes. In some regions of Earth, it has thinned. In others, it has thickened. One such region is called the South Atlantic Anomaly, a place where the field weakens more than elsewhere. Satellites passing overhead feel its effects. Its instruments sense its quiet instability. It is a reminder that Earth's shield is alive, not static, like the atmosphere above. The field below is always in motion, softly repeating its cycles of change. The sky silent lights when the solar wind meets the magnetic field near the poles. Auroras appear. Curtains of green ripple in silence. Red and violet fringes flicker. They move as if alive, glowing where invisible lines of force funnel particles into the air. The auroras are Earth's reply to the sun, a conversation written in color, repeating softly with each storm. To watch them is to glimpse the shield itself. It's not usually seen, but always present. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, sky writes with light. The slow dance of core and field deep in the Earth's molten core. Metals swirl and churn. These movements generate the field, a process called the geodynamo. The churning is restless, shifting over centuries and millennia, sending ripples outward to the surface. As the core changes, so too does the field. The poles drift, the strength varies, reversals occur. All of it is a slow dance of iron and fire beneath our feet. Hey, rhythm older than continents. The hum continues, softly repeating. As the earth turns within itself, the human perspective. For humans, the poles feel abstract, seen only in instruments or maps, yet their presence is intimate. They shape the light and skies, guide migrations, and shield the breath we take. Every compass in a pocket, every bird on a wing, every aurora in a northern sky, all speak of the same quiet force. The magnetic field is both distant and near, cosmic and personal. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, Earth's hidden compass continues its turning. A future of change. The poles are drifting faster today than in centuries past. Scientists watch closely, asking whether another reversal may come in thousands of years. Yet, whether slow or sudden, life will endure. It has before, it will again. The shield may thin, but it will not vanish. The Earth's core will continue to churn. The field will reform, pointing in a new direction, guiding migrations once more. Change is part of its rhythm, softly repeating across time. A guardian in silence, though unseen, the magnetic field is always present. It bends solar winds, writes auroras in sky, guides creatures across oceans, and marks the passage of time. It is one of Earth's quiet guardians, holding life close with invisible strength. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, the poles keep turning slowly, patiently, listening. Toward the northern lights from the turning of the poles rises a gift of beauty, the auroras, proof of Earth's shield, painting polar skies with silent fire. Their glow reminds us of the forces that protect us, unseen but constant, and so the story drifts naturally toward the next wonder, the glow of the northern lights. A dance of color, written by the sun and guided by Earth's magnetic breath. Asterisk, the Earth is quiet in its turning. Above its surface, the magnetic field bends and stretches, invisible to eyes, yet powerful in its reach. Most of the time, this shield is unseen, guarding silently against the endless breath of the sun. But in polar skies, at the edge of night, its presence becomes visible. Here, sky itself begins to glow. Curtains of living light tat high latitudes. Above snowy forests and frozen seas, the heavens open in ripples of color. Green spreads like soft fire, curling upward as if stirred by wind. Violet shimmers at the edges, faint but alive. Sometimes red burns in wide arcs, deep and low on the horizon. The aurora is not sound, yet it feels like music. It moves as though it has rhythm, flowing and retreating, shimmering in a dance as old as the planet itself. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, the sky writes with light. The sun's journey to the sky, the aurora, begins far from Earth. Deep within the sun, from its surface, streams of charged particles, protons and electrons rush outward. This is the solar wind, a river of energy that never ceases. It carries warmth, light, and storms, moving through space at tremendous speed. Most of these particles are turned aside by Earth's magnetic shield, flowing harmlessly around the planet. But near the poles, the field lines bend downward. The particles slip through and race toward the atmosphere. When they meet molecules of oxygen and nitrogen high in the air, they share energy collisions invisible to us, but powerful enough to make the sky glow. The hum continues, softly repeating. As the aurora is born, the colors of silence. Each color in the aurora tells a story of height and element green. The most common comes from oxygen molecules about 100 kilometers above the Earth. Their glow lingers, producing wide curtains of emerald light. Red is rarer, born from oxygen even higher, more than 200 kilometers above. It spreads softly, faint, but immense, painting the horizon in crimson hues. Blue and violet emerge from nitrogen, glowing lower in the atmosphere. Together, they weave threads of color, blending in motion like a tapestry unraveling in air. Though bright, the aurora makes no sound. Its voice is only seen, never heard, and yet, in silence, it seems to sing. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, sky paints patiently in green and red, ancient eyes on the lights long before science. Humans watch the aurora in wonder. In northern lands, stories were told of spirits dancing, of ancestors whispering across the sky. The Sami people of Lapland spoke of souls moving in shimmering curtains. In Norse tales, the lights were reflections from the shields of warriors. In Inuit traditions, the aurora was said to be the play of those who had passed, tossing a ball made of walrus skull through the heavens. Every culture found meaning in the glow, a bridge between the human world and something greater. Even without explanation, people sensed the aurora as more than light. It was a sign, a message, a wonder repeating through time. The hum continues, softly repeating, carrying myth and science in equal measure. The breath of storms at times. The aurora is gentle, faint arcs shimmering on the horizon. At other times, it blazes, filling the entire sky with light that flickers and shifts as though alive. These great storms occur when the sun erupts, sending bursts of plasma outward in events called coronal mass ejections. Days later, the wave reaches Earth, pressing against the magnetic field, bending it, shaking it. The shield responds, guiding torrents of particles toward the poles. The aurora brightens, curtains ripple faster, and the sky pulses with color. Even in storm, there is no noise. The light is furious, yet silent, a reminder that energy can be vast without sound. The night is quiet. Even when the heavens blaze, the dance of particles in fields, the aurora is not random. It follows lines, patterns written by the magnetic field. Each arc of light traces invisible currents, flowing along pathways we cannot see. Scientists study these lines with satellites and instruments, but the spectacle remains beyond full capture. The aurora is both physics and poetry. It's a translation of energy into beauty. Every shimmer is a message. The sun has touched the earth, and the earth has replied with light. The hum continues, softly repeating, a dialogue between star and planet. A silent companion to life. The aurora is not only a wonder, it is a sign of protection. Its very existence proves that Earth's shield is holding, that the solar wind has been bent and softened. Without the field, the atmosphere itself might be stripped away, leaving only bare rock beneath the sun. Instead, we live under skies that glow in reply. Creatures beneath may not look upward, but they live because of what the aurora means. Fields bend, particles scatter, the air remains. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, the aurora tells of safety. The reach of the lights though most often seen near the Arctic and Antarctic circles. The aurora sometimes travels farther. During strong storms, it descends into mid-latitudes, glowing above forests, deserts, even seas far from polar ice. In those rare nights, people who have never expected such a vision look up to find the sky alive. Green arcs spread overhead, red pillars reach upward. For a moment, the world seems transformed. The aurora reminds us that the earth is not static, that it is always in touch with the wider cosmos. The hum continues, softly repeating, carrying the sun's touch across the globe. The silence of waiting there. Our nights in the polar regions, when people wait beneath dark skies, hoping for the aurora. Hours pass, stars burn quietly, the moon drifts overhead. Then, almost without notice, a faint band appears, pale and soft. It ripples, curls, becomes alive. The waiting is part of the rhythm. The aurora is never guaranteed, never on command. It arrives in its own time, patient as the planet itself. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, those who wait learn patience. The science of beauty satellites measures solar wind. Scientists model magnetic fields. Equations describe the physics. Yet, none of these erase the mystery. The aurora is understood, but never diminished. Knowledge does not quiet its wonder. To know that the green comes from oxygen, that the violet comes from nitrogen, is to marvel more deeply that atoms themselves, struck by cosmic particles, can light the heavens in silence. The hum continues, softly repeating, where fact and beauty become the same. A memory in the sky, the aurora is fleeting, but it lingers in memory. Those who see it carry its glow long after the light has faded. It becomes a private archive, a recollection of sky that moved like water, that burned without fire, that sang without sound. For millennia, the aurora has left such memories in human hearts, generation after generation. Each glow fades, but the stories remain. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, the aurora becomes part of us. The endless conversation, the aurora is not a single event, but a dialogue that has continued for billions of years. The sun breathes particles into space. The earth bends them. The sky glows. Cada cycle repeats. It is the longest conversation star to planet, energy to shield, light to life. We are witnesses to a story that began before humans, before forests, before oceans as we know them. The hum continues, softly repeating, a dialogue written in green fire. Toward the deep time of rocks, the aurora shows us the present, the sun's breath tonight. The fields shield this hour, but in stone, in the deep time of rocks. The story of Earth's magnetic breath is preserved. Magnetic minerals frozen in ancient lava point to poles long shifted, reversals long past. They remind us that the aurora we see today is part of a rhythm far older. And so, the story drifts toward the next wonder, the memory written in stone, the deep time of rocks that hold the record of Earth's endless breath. Asterisk, the earth beneath. Our feet feel solid, still, eternal. We walk upon it without question, thinking of it as permanent. Yet, every stone, every grain of sand is part of a journey. Rocks carry time within them, a memory older than any living thing. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, the stones wait. Stones older than memory pick up a pebble from a stream. It may seem small, insignificant, but it is a piece of deep time. That pebble could be hundreds of millions of years old, formed in ancient mountains, now long gone. It may have been heated in fire, cooled in ocean, cracked by ice, carried by rivers, and worn smooth by endless turning. Even the smallest stone is a witness to eras we cannot imagine. The pebble does not tell its story aloud, yet it holds it. Within, the hum continues, softly repeating, written in silence on every rock. the Earth's first crust billions of years ago. Earth was molten. The surface boiled with magma. Seas of fire spread outward. Slowly, a thin crust formed. Those first rocks were basalt, dark and heavy. Born from cooling lava, fragments of that first crust still exist today, hidden in the oldest places of the world, ancient shields of Canada, Greenland, and Australia. They are over 4 billion years old, older than most stars in the sky we see tonight. When we hold such a rock, we hold the planet's first breath of solidity. The night is quiet. And in that quiet, the rocks remember beginnings. Layers like pages many. Rocks are layered, built over time like the pages of a book. Sedimentary rocks form from sand, mud, and shells pressed together, grain upon grain. Each layer is a season, a flood, a drought, a memory of water passing by. To look at a canyon wall is to look at time itself, stacked in colors and stripes. Red from iron, white from limestone, black from volcanic ash. Spanned tells of a world that once was, now gone, but not erased. The hum continues, softly repeating, layer upon layer, page upon page. The endless cycle of stone rocks are never finished. They move in cycles, slow but unstoppable. Mountains rise from tectonic collisions. Wind and rain grind them down. Rivers carry the grains to the sea. Sediment gathers, hardens, and becomes rock again. This is the rock cycle fire. To stone, stone to sand, sand to stone again. It is not fast, not rushed, but patient, repeating endlessly across eons. Every mountain we see today will someday be dust. Every pebble of dust may someday become a mountain again. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, the stones turn in their silent rhythm. Rocks as memory keepers. Some rocks hold fossils and prints of shells, leaves, bones. These are memories of life pressed into stone. They remind us that the living world does not vanish completely. It is carried forward in mineral form, preserved by pressure and time. Other rocks carry traces of ancient climates in their minerals. Scientists find signs of deserts, swamps, oceans, and glaciers that once covered the land. Rocks are the Earth's journals, its archives written not in ink, but in layers of mineral and grain. The hum continues, softly repeating, carrying memory. Across millions of years, fire within stone. Not all rocks are gentle. Some are born in fire, deep within Earth's crust, where heat transforms them. Granite forms as molten magma cools slowly, crystals growing within like stars in darkness. Marble forms when limestone is heated and pressed, changing from soft sediment to glowing stone. These metamorphic rocks remind us that even stone is not immune to transformation. Heat, pressure, and time reshape everything. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, fire still waits within the stone. Mountains rising. Mountains, falling mountains, appear eternal, their peaks reaching the sky, but they too are temporary. The Himalayas rise today because the Indian plate presses into Asia, pushing stone upward. Yet, even as they rise, rain and glaciers cut them down. The Appalachians in North America were once as tall as the Himalayas, yet now they are worn low, soft with forest. Mountains rise, mountains fall. The hum continues, softly repeating, stone always moving, always reshaping. The weight of deep time, we measure our lives in years, perhaps decades. Rocks measure time in millions, even billions. To them, our lifetimes are moments, barely a breath. A pebble may have been part of a mountain that existed before animals walked. On land, a grain of sand may once have been inside a stone formed before the first forests. Deep time humbles us. It reminds us that we are small, brief, but still part of the same story. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, deep time stretches endlessly. The The patience of erosion rocks erode slowly. Wind polishes them. Rivers carve them. Glaciers grind them. A cliff face crumbles grain by grain, each grain carried to the sea. To watch is to see nothing change. To wait is to see worlds transformed. Erosion is patient, endless, never hurried. It is the artist of landscapes, shaping valleys, plains, and coasts. The hum continues, softly repeating, as stone gives way to sand, and sand finds the sea. The silence of caves beneath mountains and plains. Rocks form caves. Water drips through limestone, dissolving it drop by drop, carving chambers vast and silent. Stalactites grow downward, stalagmites rise upward, each formed from countless drips of mineral-laden water. Caves are cathedrals of time, places where silence has shaped stone into sculpture. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, the caves deepen, unseen. The oceans, stones, on the seafloor, rocks spread outward in long ridges. At mid-ocean ridges, molten rock rises, cools, and becomes new crust. Slowly, it moves outward, carrying continents with it. The ocean floor is young compared to continents, rarely more than 200 million years old. It is created, spread, and destroyed in trenches where it sinks back into Earth's mantle. Even the oceans are built on stone, shifting and renewing in endless cycles. The hum continues, softly repeating as the seafloor writes and rewrites itself. Meteorites, stones from the stars. Not all rocks are of Earth. Some fall from space meteorites, fragments of asteroids or planets that broke apart. These stones carry the oldest record of all, formed at the dawn of the solar system. To hold one is to hold a piece of stars, older than Earth itself, older than the oceans, older than the forests. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, stones from the stars remind us of beginnings. Human hands on stone. For as long as humans have lived, we have shaped stone. Flint became tools, granite became monuments, marble became temples. Stones have built our homes, our roads, our stories. They outlast wood, metal, even civilizations. To carve into stone is to join its deep time, to leave marks that may remain long after we are gone. The hum continues, softly repeating. As stone carries human memory to dot stones, as teacher scientists read rocks like books, by studying their minerals, they know the temperatures and pressures that shape them. By studying their layers, they know the seas and climates of ancient Earth. By studying their radioactivity, they measure the age of the planet itself. Rocks are teachers, silent but precise, telling us truths that no witness could recall. Night is quiet, and in that quiet, stone continues to teach. Toward the force that whisper as ancient as stone is, it shares Earth with things that move more quickly for us, that grow, rustle, and whisper. Beneath their roots, stone lies still, yet even stone and forest connect as minerals nourish the soil, and roots slowly carve into rock. The story drifts from stone into green, from memory into voice. The next chapter will speak not of silence, but of whispers carried through trees, and the night continues, softly repeating, moving from the patience of stone into the language of forests. The forest is quiet, yet never silent. Leaves stir with wind, they sway, and beneath the soil, hidden from sight, a slower, deeper communication takes place. Roots stretch outward in darkness, reaching toward one another, Touch, intertwine, and form connections, Fungi weave themselves into these networks, building bridges between trees. Through these threads, nutrients move, messages travel, warnings are shared. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, the forest speaks. The underground network beneath the soil lies the wood wide web, a living network of roots and fungi. Carousel fungi fuse with tree roots, extending them like invisible threads. These filaments stretch far, thinner than a strand of hair, yet longer than rivers, linking tree to tree across distances. Through this network, a forest becomes something more than individual trunks. It becomes a single organism, bound by shared breath and shared food. Carbon passes from strong trees to weaker ones. Nutrients flow from parent to sapling, helping the young grow in shadow. The hum continues, softly repeating, carried along hidden threads in the soil, sharing food in silence in times of plenty. Trees share. Sugars made by leaves in sunlight travel downward into roots, then outward into fungal threads, then into other trees. Some trees give more than they take. Others rely on the generosity of neighbors. It is not charity, but balance. A forest that thrives as a whole ensures survival of each part. Even old trees feed young seedlings that cannot yet reach sunlight. The gift of food passes silently, molecule by molecule, through the soil. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, trees feed one another, warning of danger. The forest also whispers danger. When one tree is attacked by insects, it releases chemical signals through its roots and into the fungal web. Nearby trees receive the signal and strengthen their defenses, branding before the threat arrives. In this way, the forest looks after itself. A single voice of alarm becomes a chorus of readiness. Above ground, two trees release sense-volatile chemicals that drift in air, warning neighbors or attracting predators of the pests that attack them. But beneath the soil, the message is deeper, slower, and longer lasting. The hum continues, softly repeating. Messages of survival pass invisibly through the dark. The role of fungi are the quiet partners in this exchange. They thread themselves into tree roots, creating a bridge between plant and soil. In return for sugars from the tree, fungi deliver water, minerals, and protection. They expand the reach of roots, turning a single tree's limited grasp into a vast underground system. Without fungi, forests would not thrive. Within forests, breathe as one. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, fungi weave their endless filaments. Mother trees in many forests. Old giants known as mother trees stand at the center of these webs. Their roots connect to hundreds of younger trees. They send more carbon, more water, more minerals than they take. When a mother tree is cut down, the network weakens. Saplings struggle. The underground voices grow faint. But while they live, these elder trees ensure the survival of the next generation. The hum continues, softly repeating, carried by the oldest trunks in the forest. The rustle above wild roots whisper below. Leaves rustle above. The canopy shifts with wind, carrying sound like breath across the forest. Each tree's leaves form part of a greater voice. In the quiet of night, that rustle is a lullaby. It is the surface echo of what happens beneath. Above, the forest speaks in sighs. Below, it speaks in threads. The night is quiet, and in that quiet leaves echo what roots already know. The patience of growth trees are not fast. Their words, if they can be called that, unfold in hours, days, even seasons. A message of drought may take time to spread. A gift of sugar may flow slowly, but slowness does not mean silence. It means patience. Forests teach that communication does not need to be quick. It needs to be steady. It needs to be enduring. The hum continues, softly repeating, stretched across time as well as space. Forest as one being. When we look at a forest, we see many trunks, many crowns of leaves. But beneath, there is one. The underground network links all together. The forest behaves as a single being, like a body. It has parts that specialize. Like a body, it sends signals of pain, of hunger, of growth. Like a body, it survives not because of one part, but because of all. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, the forest breathes as one. The balance of competition, not all, is cooperation. Trees also competes, stretching upward for light, spreading roots wide for space. Yet, even within this struggle, balance is found. The network tempers competition, ensuring survival of the whole. Some trees hoard, some share, but the forest does not collapse. The whispering beneath ensures that even in competition, there is connection. The hum continues, softly repeating, a reminder that balance is found in tension as well as harmony. Forests, as memory forests, remember, through their soils, seeds, and roots, they carry the story of centuries. A tree cut down may regrow from its roots, fed by neighbors. Fire may sweep through, but underground threads often survive, carrying life forward. Rings and trunks record years of drought and flood. Roots hold traces of past climates. In their slow growth, forests archive time, just as rocks do. The night is quiet. And in that quiet, forests remember the human connection long before science uncovered the wood wide web. Humans sensed the unity of forests. Myths spoke of trees whispering, of roots speaking, of groves alive with voices. To walk among trees was to feel part of something larger. Now, science confirms what stories suggested. Forests do whisper. They do share. They do speak, though not in human words. The hum continues, softly repeating, echoing both myth and truth. The forest at night. Forests shift. Leaves still breathe. Roots still whisper. Fungi still carry their threads. Animals sleep or stir, but the trees remain constant. They do not rest as humans do. Their communication continues, silent but unbroken. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, forests remember the human connection long before science uncovered the wood wide web. Humans sense the unity of forests. Myths spoke of trees whispering, of roots speaking, of groves alive with voices. To walk among trees was to feel part of something larger. Now, science confirms what stories suggested. Forests do whisper. They do share. They do speak, though not in human words. The hum continues, softly repeating, echoing both myth and truth. The forest at night. Forests shift. Leaves still breathe. Roots still whisper. Fungi still carry their threads. Animals sleep or stir, but the trees remain constant. They do not rest as humans do. Their communication continues, silent but unbroken. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, forests keep their slow conversation alive. Toward the rhythms of tides, forests whisper underground. But beyond the trees lies the sea, moving in rhythm not of roots, but of the moon. Just as fungi weaved threads, the ocean weaves waves. Just as trees pass messages, tides pass breath from shore to shore. The story drifts from soil into water, from whispers beneath ground to rhythms that move across every coast, and the night continues, softly repeating, carrying us from forests that whisper to oceans that breathe with tides. Asterisk, the tides are the planet's slowest breath. Twice each day, without fail, the seas expand and retreat. They do not hurry. They do not falter. Their rhythm is as steady as a heartbeat, yet far older. The moon floats above, pale and patient, reaching across space with its invisible pull. Its gravity bends the oceans, drawing water toward it. Not in a rush, not in a wave, but in a gentle leaning. The oceans obey, swelling slightly, rising as though inhaling. Hours later, they exhale, receding back into themselves. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, The tides continue. The moon's pole gravity is invisible, but it is always present. The moon, though small compared to Earth, exerts enough force to tug at the oceans. 'Cause water is fluid, it responds. It does not resist, but flows. Where the moon is closest overhead, water bulges outward. On the far side of the Earth, another bulge appears, a balance in motion. Between these swells, water is lower. Thus, 2 high tides, 2 low tides each day, repeating endlessly. It is not a sound, not a storm. It is a soft rhythm, too vast to notice until we stand on a beach and watch waves creep higher, then lower, then higher again. The hum continues, softly repeating, measured in hours, measured in distance. The sun's influence the moon is not alone. The sun, massive and distant, also tugs. When sun and moon align, their gravity joins forces and tides swelled higher. These are spring tides grand, immense, covering shores more deeply when they pull in opposition. Tides weaken into neaps gentler rises, subtler falls. This dance between sun and moon keeps the ocean's rhythm varied but steady. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, both star and satellite shape the seas. The ocean's breath to stand by the sea is to feel the planet breathe. Waves arrive each second, but tides unfold over hours. The shoreline expands outward, then contracts inward, like lungs filling and emptying. This breath is older than memory. It has never ceased since the moon was born. Even as continents drift and climates shift, the tide's rhythm endures. The hum continues, softly repeating, older than mountains, older than forests. The shoreline's changing face with each tide. The shoreline changes. At high tide, rocks vanish under foaming water. Sand darkens, swallowed by waves. At low tide, those same rocks emerge glistening, coated in seaweed. Pools remain, filled with crabs, starfish, and hidden creatures waiting for the sea to return. Every coast has its own story written in tides. Some sea rises of only a meter. Others, like the Bay of Fundy, feel tides as high as 15 meters, where entire cliffs vanish and reappear with each cycle. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, the shore reshapes itself again and again. Life shaped by tides, creatures of the coast live by this rhythm. Barnacles open only when water returns. Shore crabs time their movements with the waves. Fish ride the rising tide into estuaries, feeding before returning to deeper waters. Seabirds pick at the revealed sands when water retreats. For them, the tide is not background. It is time itself, a metronome that orders life, just as a clock orders hours. The hum continues, softly repeating, guiding lives that move in step with the moon. Humans, and the tide's humans too, have long followed the tide. Ancient fishermen knew when waters would rise, when boats could leave harbors, when nets should be cast. Farmers in river deltas planted crops by its rhythm, knowing floods and ebbs carried fertile soil. Even today, sailors in coastal cities watch tides carefully, building walls and bridges in harmony with them. We are not separate from the ocean's breath. We are timed by it, measured by it, shaped by it. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, the moon still writes our hours. The lag of water does not move instantly. Even as the moon pulls, friction from the seafloor slows the response. Continents block its flow, redirecting its bulges. The result is not perfect alignment, but a delayed obedience. This lag creates complex patterns. Some coasts fill tides at different hours than expected. Some places barely notice change at all. The ocean listens to the moon, but with hesitation. Like a slow breath caught between inhale and exhale, the hum continues, softly repeating, never, rushed, never late. Tides across the world, every bay, every cape, every harbor feels the tide differently. Narrow inlets funnel water higher. Wide coasts spread it thinner. Island sea tides wrap around them like arms. No place is free of the tide, though some notice it less. Even enclosed seas, like the Mediterranean, still rise and fall, though gently. The tide's rhythm touches every corner of Earth, from polar ice to tropical shore. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, water leans and returns. The energy of tides, each rising and falling, carries energy. The pull of water against coasts stores potential. The motion of currents stores power. In some places, humans captured this energy with turbines, turning the moon's rhythm into electricity. It is one of the oldest, cleanest forces on Earth. The moon powers not only our nights, but our lights. Yet, even without our machines, tides are energy for the planet's shaping coasts. Nourishing estuaries, stirring nutrients into life's shallows. The hum continues, softly repeating, as power, hidden in water, moves endlessly. Tides of the past long ago. The moon was closer. Tides were stronger, higher, fiercer. As the moon drifts away centimeters each year, the tides soften, little by little. In ancient seas, life adapted to greater surges. Fossil shorelines record their reach, carved deep into stone. The past tides roar in silence now, but their traces remain. Each rock shelf, each ancient delta, is a memory of water's patient rise and fall. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, Earth remembers. Tides as timekeepers for many cultures. Tides became calendars. Days divided not only by sun and moon, but by water. Fishermen spoke of spring tides and neap tides as measures of weeks. Coastal peoples lived not only by seasons, but by surges. Tides measure not minutes or hours, but cycles, flows and ebbs, returns and departures. Their time is not linear, but circular, always repeating, always returning. The hum continues, softly repeating, counting days, not in numbers, but in waves. The endless dance. The tides are not only Earth's breath. They are the dance of Earth and moon together. Gravity binds them, rotation times them. Oceans reveal them. This dance is as steady as a waltz, older than history, older than humanity. Earth turns, moon circles, water leans, then withdraws. Each step is predictable, yet endlessly renewing. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, the dance never ceases. Bridge to the next chapter. Its tides shape coasts. They also shape the creatures that live within them. Just as waves touch sand, gravity touches life. Every crab, every fish, every human living near shore carries the rhythm of tides in its days. But gravity does not stop at the ocean. It stretches across the whole universe. It bends stars into galaxies, galaxies into clusters. Just as it shapes water, it shapes the cosmos itself. And the night is quiet, softly repeating as we drift from tides of the sea toward the greater pull of gravity that holds all things together. Gravity is not felt directly in tides. It is a pull, quiet but insistent. It bends oceans, reshapes shorelines, has no voice but commands everything. The moon's pull is strongest on water. Its rhythm is soft, softly repeating. Gravity is the quiet ruler of the cosmos. And here it moves every wave we see. Full chapter body. 1,620 words. Gravity is the most patient of forces. It does not speak in thunder, does not flash like lightning. It works silently, invisibly, yet endlessly. It bends the oceans, drawing water into tides. It sculpts the earth, holding its air in place. It anchors the moon in orbit, guiding its endless path. And beyond Earth, it threads together the entire universe. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, gravity holds everything still. The nature of gravity. though unseen, gravity is always felt. It is the reason oceans cling to the planet instead of drifting into space. It is the reason mountains rise and do not float away. It is the reason our bodies press gently against the ground. Gravity does not push, it pulls. Everything with mass attracts everything else. The earth pulls us, and we, in turn, pull earth, though our pull is small. The moon pulls earth. Earth pulls the moon. The sun pulls all of it, keeping planets in orbit. The hum continues, softly repeating, an unbroken connection between all things. The ocean's obedience gravity reveals itself most clearly in water. When the moon leans across the sky, water leans with it. Tides rise and fall, not because of sound, not because of motion we can see, but because of invisible force. Shorelines vanish, then return, following gravity's command. Each tide is an expression of this unseen hand. Gravity does not roar, yet oceans obey as though to music. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, water listens. Gravity in the air we breathe, the air itself would not remain without gravity. The atmosphere clings to Earth because gravity holds it close. Molecules of nitrogen, oxygen, and carbon dioxide are not heavy. Yet gravity keeps them from drifting into emptiness. Every breath is possible because this force never lets go. It anchors clouds, holds storms, and allows winds to return again and again. The hum continues, softly repeating, binding air to planet, planet to star. Mountains that do not float gravity also shapes land. Without it, mountains would crumble outward. Continents would drift apart like dust. With it, they remain anchored, patient, heavy against the crust. Gravity sculpts rivers, flowing water downward from peaks to valleys, from valleys to seas. It gives direction to all flow downward, always toward the center. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, mountains rest in gravity's hold. Orbits as falling planets orbit stars, moons orbit planets, not because of magic, but because of falling. Earth falls toward the sun endlessly, but its sideways motion keeps it from ever striking. The moon falls toward Earth endlessly, but it misses, moving sideways around us. Orbit is a balance, forward motion and downward pull, repeating forever. It is falling without end, a dance between movement and gravity. The hum continues, softly, repeating as worlds fall around one another. Gravity and light gravity bends not only matter, but light itself. Beams curve when they pass near massive stars. Space itself is stretched and shaped by gravity's weight. This bending allows us to see galaxies behind galaxies. Their light curved like glass lenses. The invisible becomes visible through gravity's silent guidance. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, even light obeys. The weak yet endless force among the forces of nature. Gravity is the weakest. A magnet can lift a nail against the pull of an entire planet. And yet, gravity is the most enduring. Unlike electricity, it cannot cancel itself out. Unlike nuclear forces, it does not vanish at distance. It is weak, but infinite, stretching. Without end, it binds galaxies, clusters, and the universe itself. Its patience outweighs its strength. The hum continues, softly repeating, not in power, but in persistence. Gravity, as time gravity, slows time. Near massive objects, seconds stretch longer. Clocks tick more slowly. The closer one drifts toward a black hole, the more time bends. This connection between space, mass, and time is subtle, invisible, but always present. We live inside this fabric, stretched by gravity's hand. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, time itself bends. Tides beyond Earth gravity shapes not only Earth's seas. On Jupiter's moon, Io, tides of rock rise and fall because Jupiter's pull flexes its crust. On Europa, hidden oceans shift beneath ice, stirred by the same force. Everywhere gravity reaches, it sculpts not only water, but stone, but ice. The hum continues, softly repeating. Across planets and moons alike, stars and galaxy stars form because gravity gathers gas. Clouds collapse inward, compressed until heat and fusion ignite. Without gravity, stars would never exist. Galaxies, too, hold together by its pull. Billions of stars orbit a common center, bound by gravity's endless patience. Without it, they would drift apart, scattered beyond recognition. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, galaxies remain whole. Gravity, as memory crater on the moon, is a memory of gravity's work. Asteroids pulled inward, colliding, leaving marks. Each orbit of a planet is a record of gravity's command. It is memory, not written in ink, but in curves and paths and scars of impact. Gravity is both writer and keeper of history. The hum continues, softly repeating, inscribing time into motion. The comfort of gravity, though unseen, gravity is comfort. It anchors us, assures us that Earth will not drift away. It gives direction to every step, every stone, every river. Without it, there would be no tides, no air, no Earth as we know it. It is not loud, not urgent, but steady. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, gravity whispers its assurance. Bridge to the next chapter. The pull that bends oceans also bends galaxies. It is the same force that threads the universe together, invisible, yet undeniable. But within this force, something even stranger emerges. Sometimes, across vast distances, two particles can be connected, moving in instant harmony, no matter how far apart. This is entanglement, the quiet thread across the dark end. The night is quiet, softly repeating as we prepare to follow that hidden thread into the mysteries of connection. Gravity is not felt directly in tides, okay? It is a pull, quiet but insistent. It bends oceans, reshapes shorelines, okay? It has no voice, but commands everything. The moon's pull is strongest on water. Its rhythm is soft, softly repeating. Gravity is the quiet ruler of the cosmos. And here it moves every wave we see. Full chapter body. 1,620 words. Gravity is the most patient of forces. It does not speak in thunder. It does not flash like lightning. It works silently, invisibly, yet endlessly. It bends the oceans, drawing water into tides. It sculpts the earth, holding its air in place. It anchors the moon in orbit, guiding its endless path. And beyond Earth, it threads together the entire universe. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, gravity holds everything still. The nature of gravity, though unseen, gravity is always felt. It is the reason oceans cling to the planet instead of drifting into space. It is the reason mountains rise and do not float away. It is the reason our bodies press gently against the ground. Gravity does not push pulls. Everything with mass attracts everything else. The earth pulls us, and we in turn pull earth, though our pull is small. The moon pulls earth, earth pulls the moon. The sun pulls all of it, keeping planets in orbit. The hum continues, softly repeating an unbroken connection between all things. The ocean's obedience gravity reveals itself most clearly in water. When the moon leans across the sky, water leans with it. Tides rise and fall, not because of sound, not because of motion we can see, but because of invisible force. Shorelines vanish, then return, following gravity's command. Each tide is an expression of this unseen hand. Gravity does not roar, yet oceans obey as though to music. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, water listens. Gravity in the air we breathe, the air itself would not remain without gravity. The atmosphere clings to Earth, because gravity holds it close. Molecules of nitrogen, oxygen, and carbon dioxide are not heavy, yet gravity keeps them from drifting into emptiness. Every breath is possible because this force never lets go. Anchors clouds, holds storms, and allows winds to return again and again. The hum continues, softly repeating, binding air to planet, planet to star. Mountains that do not float gravity also shapes land. Without it, mountains would crumble outward. Continents would drift apart like dust. With it, they remain anchored, patient, heavy against the crust. Gravity sculpts rivers, pulling water downward from peaks to valleys, from valleys to seas. It gives direction to all flow downward, always toward the center. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, mountains rest in gravity's hold. Orbits as falling planets orbit stars, moons orbit planets, not because of magic, but because of falling. Earth falls toward the sun endlessly, but its sideways motion keeps it from ever striking. The moon falls toward Earth endlessly, but it misses, moving sideways around us. Orbit is a balance, forward motion and downward pull, repeating forever. It is falling without end, a dance between movement and gravity. The hum continues, softly, repeating as worlds fall around one another. Gravity and light gravity bends not only matter, but light itself. Beams curve when they pass near massive stars. Space itself is stretched and shaped by gravity's weight. This bending allows us to see galaxies behind galaxies. Their light, curved like glass lenses. The invisible becomes visible through gravity's silent guidance. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, even light obeys. The weak, yet endless force among the forces of nature. Gravity is the weakest. A magnet can lift a nail against the pull of an entire planet. And yet, gravity is the most enduring. Unlike electricity, it cannot cancel itself out. Unlike nuclear forces, it does not vanish at distance. It is weak, but infinite, stretching. Without end, it binds galaxies, clusters, and the universe itself. Its patience outweighs its strength. The hum continues, softly repeating, not in power, but in persistence. Gravity as time gravity slows time. Near massive objects, seconds stretch longer. Clocks tick more slowly. The closer one drifts toward a black hole, the more time bends. This connection between space, mass, and time is subtle, invisible, but always present. We live inside this fabric, stretched by gravity's hand. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, time itself bends, tides beyond Earth gravity, shapes not only Earth seas. On Jupiter's moon, Io, tides of rock rise and fall because Jupiter's pull flexes its crust. On Europa, hidden oceans shift beneath ice, stirred by the same force. Everywhere gravity reaches, it sculpts not only water, but stone. Not only stone, but ice. The hum continues, softly repeating, across planets and moons alike. Stars and galaxy stars form because gravity gathers gas. Clouds collapse inward, compressed until heat and fusion ignite. Without gravity, stars would never exist. Galaxies, too, hold together by its pull. Billions of stars orbit a common center, bound by gravity's endless patience. Without it, they would drift apart, scattered beyond recognition. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, galaxies remain whole. Gravity as memory. Each crater on the moon is a memory of gravity's work. Asteroids pulled inward, colliding, leaving marks. Each orbit of a planet is a record of gravity's command. It is memory, not written in ink, but in curves, in paths, in scars of impact. Gravity is both writer and keeper of history. The hum continues, softly repeating, inscribing time into motion. The comfort of gravity, though unseen, gravity is comfort. It anchors us, assures us that Earth will not drift away. It gives direction to every step, every stone, every river. Without it, there would be no tides, no air, no earth as we know it. It is not loud, not urgent, but steady. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, gravity whispers its assurance. Bridge to the next chapter. The pull that bends oceans also bends galaxies. It is the same force that threads the universe together, invisible, yet undeniable. But within this force, something even stranger emerges. Sometimes, across vast distances, two particles can be connected, moving in instant harmony no matter how far apart. This is entanglement. The quiet thread across the dark, and the night is quiet, softly repeating as we prepare to follow that hidden thread into the mysteries of connection. Asterisk, the tide is not only an ocean's motion. It is also a language quiet, patient, and older than memory. Every creature along the shore listens to it. Every shell, every wing, every fin is tuned to its rhythm. The moon leans across the sky, and the water obeys. The water leans, and life obeys as well. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, life breathes to the moon's soft command. The shoreline as a clock, for most of us, time is counted in hours, minutes, seconds. But for creatures of the shore, time is counted in tides. Each rise brings water. Each fall reveals land. This cycle, repeating twice each day, is their clock, their calendar, their guiding pulse. Barnacles know when to close their shells. Clams know when to bury deeper into wet sand. Shorebirds know when to step across mud flats. Fish know when to follow water inland. The hum continues, softly repeating, as the moon marks time, not with sound, but with tides. Crabs that wait for the moonshore. Crabs live between worlds. Too long above the tide, they dry. Too long below, they drown. So they wait, perfectly timed, for the sea to rise and fall. Their bodies are tuned to this rhythm. Their instincts are shaped by it. When the tide withdraws, they scuttle into pools left behind. When the tide returns, they emerge again, feeding on what the water brings. They are creatures not of land, not of sea, but of the line between. And the line moves, softly repeating, every day of their lives. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, crabs listen. Barnacles that open and close barnacles appear still, unmoving, yet they are listeners too. When water rises, they open their shells, extending feathery appendages into the tide. They filter food carried on currents, tiny plankton, invisible particles. When water withdraws, they close, sealing themselves tight. They can wait for hours, patient as stone. Their lives are a cycle of opening and closing, breathing and holding breath, always in tune with the tide. The hum continues, softly repeating, silent column response between ocean and shell. Fish that follow the rising water. Not all fish remain in the open sea. Many wait for the tide to rise, carrying them inland into estuaries, rivers, and salt marshes. With the tide comes safety. Deeper water hides them from predators. With the tide comes food. Small invertebrates stirred by moving water. When the tide retreats, they follow it outward again, returning to the sea's embrace. Their journeys are short, yet endless. Always moving, always circling with the tide. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, fish drift with the moon. Birds, that time, they're feeding above the tide line. Birds wait. Sandpipers run quick along the shore, probing for worms revealed by retreating. Waves, gulls gather at low tide to feast on exposed shellfish. Herons stand motionless, waiting for fish that follow the water's edge. These birds know the tide as well as any clock. They rise with it, they feed with it, they rest when it withdraws. The tide is their table, softly repeating, laying out meals twice each day. The hum continues, softly repeating, as wings answer water's rhythm. Sea turtles and the moon far beyond the shoreline. The moon still speaks. Sea turtles come ashore at night to lay eggs. Their timing is often guided by tides, by the pull of the moon. High tides carry them closer to sandy dunes, giving safety to their nests. Hatchlings to emerge under moonlight, guided by its glow across the waves. Their lives, from first crawl to final swim, are shaped by tides and moonlight together. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, turtles follow the moon's silver path. Ecosystems built on rhythm, entire ecosystems, depend on this cycle. Salt marshes flood and drain, feeding plants that thrive only in tidal zones. Mangrove forests spread, roots that breathe when tides fall and drink when tides rise. Coral reefs shimmer with life, their polyps opening with the moon's rhythm. Every creature, every plant, every system listens to the tides. The moon's pull is not just physical, it is ecological. The hum continues, softly repeating, threading life together with waters rise and fall. Humans in the rhythm, humans too, have lived by the tides. Fishermen have always known when to cast nets by the moon's pull. Farmers in tidal plains have planted crops with water's ebb and flow. Travelers have launched boats at high tide, safe from running aground. Even today, harbors and schedules turn to tidal charts, tell lives, though filled with clocks, still depend on the moon's quiet command. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, humans are listeners too. The ancientness of the tides are older than humanity, older than forests, older than most life itself. Since the moon was born from Earth, tides have never ceased. They have pulled and released, sculpted coastlines, shaped ecosystems, written rhythms into DNA. Life arose first in tidal pools, scientists believe. The constant wetting and drying may have nurtured the chemistry that became biology. The hum continues, softly repeating, older than memory, older than time we measure. The language of patience to watch tides is to watch patience. They do not hurry, they do not delay. Hey, they arrive, they depart, they arrive again. Creatures wait with equal patience. Barnacles hold fast, crabs hide, fish drift, birds rest. Turtles return. Life does not fight the tide, leans into it. Accepts the cycle, trusting it will return always. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, patience is the lesson. The fragility of the rhythm, though eternal, tides can be disrupted. Shores altered by humans, reefs bleached. Marshes drained, all changed the rhythm for creatures that depend on it. And yet, the moon still pulls. The water still rises. The cycle is older than us and will outlast us with the lives that follow. It's fragile, delicate, needs its full balance. The hum continues, softly repeating, reminding us of connection. A universe of rhythms. The tide is only one expression of gravity, of cycles, of rhythm. Just as water bends to the moon, galaxies bend to gravity. Just as life listens to the ocean. Stars are shaped by invisible forces. Life along the shore reminds us that we, too, are listeners to greater rhythms. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, we belong to the same pattern bridge to the next chapter. Creatures live by tides, obeying gravity's pull without question. Yet humans have done more than listen. We have measured, calculated, can use to tide's rhythm. The next reflection is on us. How human lives are shaped by tides. How our cities, journeys, and survival have always been tied to the moon's command. And the hum continues, softly repeating, carrying us from the lives of crabs and birds into the quiet history of human tides. Asterisk, the tide is not only the domain of crabs, clams, and seabirds. It is also a rhythm that humanity has followed since its earliest days, before clocks, before calendars, before writing. The tide was a clock, a calendar, a story. Villages on coasts rose and fell with water's breath. Fishermen cast nets by the moon. Travelers launched boats when seas leaned highest. Farmers planted. Crops where river and tide met. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, we remember our lives too are shaped by the pull of the moon. Fishermen and the moon for countless generations. Fishermen have looked to the moon before looking to the sea. They knew that fish followed tides, that nets caught more when water rose, that harbors opened when seas leaned inward, and small boats carved of wood. Men rowed out at high tide, trusting the water to carry them home again when it fell. Tides told them not only when to fish, but where. Estuaries at flood, tidal pools at ebb, open water when currents were swift. The moon was their silent partner. It gave no voice, but its pull guided every meal brought from the sea. The hum continues, softly repeating as nets rise and fall with the tide. Farmers in the deltas, not only fishermen, but farmers too, followed the tide. In great river deltas denial, the Ganges, the Makanda, tide carried nutrients into the soil. Fields flooded, not by storm, but by daily rhythm. Farmers planted knowing when waters would rise and fall. Crops grew in soil, nourished by silt lifted from the sea. Even now, rice paddies in tidal regions rise and sink with the moon's cycle. The tide was both challenge and gift, drowning crops when too strong, feeding them when balanced. The moon's pull was a quiet hand guiding harvest. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, farmers rest, trusting water's patient rhythm. Sailors and harbors for sailors. Tides were more than background. They were the difference between safety and disaster in shallow harbors. A ship might ground at low tide, stuck in mud until water rose. To leave safely, captains timed their departure with the moon. In rocky coasts, a rising tide covered jagged stones, letting ships slip past without breaking their hulls. Whole navies sailed by lunar charts, watching the tide as closely as stars. The hum continues, softly repeating as ships rise and fall with the moon's command. Cities by the sea as humans built larger cities. Tides became both friend and foe. They fed harbors, powered mills, cleaned canals, but they also threatened floods. Venice was built on piles driven into tidal mudflats. London raised walls against the Thames tides. Tired neighborhoods of New York and Shanghai still brace for the moon's regular reach. Engineers build gates and barriers, but the rhythm never ceases. The tide does not roar. It whispers steadily, softly repeating, rewriting coastlines even as cities rise. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, walls hold against the patient sea. Tidal mills and energy for centuries. Humans turned tides into energy. Medieval Europeans built tidal mills, water wheels powered not by rivers, but by the rising and falling sea. Gates captured water at high tide, then released it at low. Turning wheels that ground grain. In modern times, turbines hum with the same rhythm. Tidal power plants capture the moon's energy, turning waters rise and fall into electricity. It is ancient energy, quiet and steady, repeating endlessly. The hum continues, softly repeating. As human hands harness the moon's invisible pull. Rituals and belief styles shaped not only labor, but belief. In some cultures, the moon's pull was seen as divine. Gods of the sea were thought to breathe with tides. Festivals were held at high water, marriages at spring tides, rituals at low ebb. The Maori of New Zealand linked fishing to the lunar cycle. The Celts marked sacred times by the flood and ebb. In Japan, shrines near the shore still watch the sea rise and fall as part of ritual rhythm. The tide was not only science, it was mystery, woven into human story. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, faith and tide move together. The science of obedience has centuries past. Humans measured the tide with precision. Tables were drawn, predictions written. By the 17th century, Isaac Newton described gravity's pull, revealing why tides followed the moon. Yet, even with equations, the rhythm remained humble. Predictions could not silence its mystery. The tide obeyed laws of physics, but it also carried poetry, a dance between earth and moon. Softly repeating, the hum continues, softly repeating. Its numbers meet wonder at the edge of the sea. Tides in modern life even today. Tides rule more than we notice. Pilots time planes on runways near tidal estuaries. Cargo ships scheduled by the moon. Fishermen still rise before dawn to meet water's edge. Surfers wait for perfect tides. Swimmers trust slack water between flood and ebb. Whole cities continue to calculate, though their lights glow and their clocks tick. The moon still commands. The sea still obeys. We still live within that pull. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, even modern life leans toward the tide. A fragile balance yet tides also bring warning. With rising seas, high tides creep higher. Floods, once rare, now reach streets more often. Coasts change. Maps redraw themselves. Humans build higher walls, but the moon is patient. It has time beyond us. It will keep pulling long after our walls fall. The hum continues, softly repeating, reminding us of our smallness in water's vast rhythm. The poetry of dependence when we step back. The story is simple. Humanity has always lived by tides. From fishing villages to modern ports, from ancient rituals to tidal turbines, from rice paddies to power grids. The moon is a quiet partner. Its whisper is older than our species, steadier than our empires, softer than any clock. We may not notice, but every coastline, every harbor, every meal of fish or grain carries its rhythm. The night is quiet, okay? And in that quiet, we hear the moon's patient voice. Bridge to the next chapter. Humans have followed tides, trusted them, measured them. Yet, even as we live by the moon itself is changing. It drifts slowly away from Earth, inch by inch, year by year. And with it, tides themselves shift. The next reflection carries us there, into the slow drift of the moon, and the quiet future of the tides. The hum continues, softly repeating, carrying us forward. The moon feels eternal in the night sky, a companion too steady to imagine changing, and yet it does change. Not in its glow, not in its shape, but in its distance. Each year, the moon drifts slightly farther from Earth, not much, a few centimeters, the width of a fingernail, but over millions of years, such small steps matter. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, the moon drifts away. How we know scientists first measured this slow departure with lasers. Mirrors placed on the moon during the Apollo missions reflected beams of light back to Earth. By timing the return, they discovered the moon's distance changes, inching outward each year. This drift is not sudden, not violent. It is soft, steady, repeating endlessly. The moon leaves us, but gently. The hum continues, softly repeating. Its numbers confirm what the night has always known. Change never stops. Why the moon moves away, the secret lies in tides. As the moon pulls the oceans, water rises and falls. Earth spins faster than the moon orbits. This creates a slight imbalanced tidal bulges lean ahead of the moon. Those bulges tug back on the moon, transferring energy. Earth loses a fraction of its rotation. The moon gains distance. Day by day, Earth's spin slows, and the moon drifts farther outward. It is a cosmic exchange time for distance, rotation for separation, softly repeating, endlessly balanced. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, The moon trades places with time itself. The lengthening of days as the moon leaves, Earth's rotation slows. Days stretch longer. In ancient times, a day lasted less than 20 hours. Now it lasts 24. In the distant future, it will last even longer. The tide is not just water. Moving it is time reshaped. Our clocks follow the moon's departure. Our calendars altered by its patient drift. The hum continues, softly repeating. Days stretch while nights deepen. The moon of the past billions of years ago. The moon was closer, much closer. It loomed, large in the sky, filling horizons with its pale face. Tides surged higher, more powerful. Seas flooded further inland. Early life on Earth evolved under those strong tides. The rhythm of waves may have guided cycles of reproduction, migration, and growth. The moon, nearer then, was an even more present partner in the story of life. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, we remember the moon that once leaned closer, the moon of the future billions of years from now. The moon will drift so far that tides will weaken. High water will not climb as it does today. The breathing of the sea will soften at some far horizon. Earth and moon may even balance locked together, so that Earth always shows one face as the moon does now. Days may last months. Months may last years. This is not a loss, but another rhythm, softly repeating, endlessly patient. The hum continues, softly repeating, carrying Earth and moon through their quiet separation. Human meaning for humans. The moon's drift is invisible. Our lives are too brief to see change. We look up and see the same glow our ancestors saw, the same phases, the same face, and yet the slow departure reminds us even what feels eternal is in motion. Nothing is still, not even the companion we trust most in the night. The night is quiet, and in that quiet we feel the lesson of impermanence. Cultural reflections, painters, musicians, none knew the science. Yet many sensed the moon's shifting nature. They wrote of longing, distance, slow loss. Perhaps deep inside, humanity has always felt the moon's quiet retreat. In Japanese haiku, the moon is often described as fleeting, a visitor of moments. In Persian verse, it is a symbol of distance, unattainable beauty. In Western poetry, it becomes a lover, moving just beyond reach. Science confirms what art has long intuited. The moon is not fixed, but drifting. The hum continues, softly repeating. Its culture echoes the physics of the cosmos. What it teaches us, the moon's retreat, is not cause for fear. It is a reminder of scale. Centimeters each year become kilometers across ages. Generations pass, civilizations rise and fall, yet the moon continues its quiet departure. It teaches us patience. It teaches us humility. It whispers that change is the rule of the universe, softly repeating. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, we learn to drift too. The eternal dance, though it leaves us. The moon does not abandon Earth. It remains bound by gravity, circling us in rhythm. The orbit expands, but the bond remains. Earth and moon continue their dance, not breaking, only widening. It is not a farewell, but an adjustment of steps. Like partners in a slow waltz, they drift apart, yet remain together, softly repeating their ancient dance. The hum continues, softly repeating. Earth and moon circle still, bridge toward the next reflection. The moon's slow drift reminds us of time's vast patience. But even as it moves away, its influence remains, not only in tides, but in the energy of their endless rise and fall. The next reflection turns toward this, its hidden power, the energy stored in tides, steady as breath, and how humans may one day live more fully by the moon's pool. The night is quiet, softly repeating. The drift carries us toward hidden energy. Asterix, the ocean moves as if it is only rhythm, only breath. Within its steady pulse lies energy, silent, patient, and immense. Each tide, as it rises and falls, carries weight. Not just the weight of water, but the weight of potential, of possibility, of power that can be harnessed without fire, without smoke, without burning. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, the tides continue to move. The source of tidal power, the tides, belong to the moon. Its gravity pulls the seas outward, raising bulges that shift around the earth as it rotates. The ocean stretches, then returns. Twice each day, on every shore, the cycle unfolds. What seems like simple motion is, in truth, a colossal shifting of mass. Quadrillions of tons of water move from place to place. Each rise is energy lifted. Each fall is energy released. It is a breath, but a powerful one. The hum continues, softly repeating, as the moon whispers power into the seas. The physics of potential when water climbs up a shore at high tide. It carries stored energy, gravitational potential energy, lifted higher against Earth's pull. When it falls again, that energy must go somewhere. It becomes motion, currents, surges. Waves rolling quietly into estuaries. It is the same principle as a reservoir feeding a river dam, but written across entire oceans. The difference is scale and the softness of its repetition. No sudden roar, no violent release, only the patient return of water, guided by the moon. The night is quiet and still. The power flows unseen. Ancient observers of tides, long before turbines or engineering, humans recognized the strength of tides. Fishermen in ancient China built simple tidal mills. The Greeks, too, recorded tide-driven wheels, harnessing the ocean's push to grind grain. It was not electricity, not light, but it was the same principle, capturing the returning water, the fall of the tide, and turning it into work. Even then, humans listened to the rhythm of the sea and saw not just mystery, a possibility. The hum continues, softly repeating, as old inventions echo into modern dreams. Modern tidal energy today, engineers revisit what the ancients knew. Modern tidal plants use dams, barrages that trap rising water in a basin. When the tide retreats, the water is released through turbines, spinning blades that generate electricity. Other systems use tidal streams, fast-moving currents in narrow channels. Turbines placed on the sea floor turn with the water like underwater windmills. The technology is simple, yet profound. The endless pull of the moon translated into electricity, into light, into warmth for homes. It is clean, quiet, softly repeating. As the tides themselves, the promise of reliability wind may falter, sunlight may fade, but tides are certain. They arrive not by chance, but by celestial mechanics. The moon pulls, and the sea replies. Twice each day, without fail. This reliability is rare. It makes tidal energy not just renewable, but predictable. Entire power grids could rest in the assurance that the ocean will move again tomorrow, and the next day, and the day after that. For as long as the moon circles Earth, the night is quiet. And in that quiet, certainty flows with the tides. The scale of power, the energy stored in global tides, is vast, measured in terawatts, more than all the world's electrical consumption. Not all of it can be harnessed, for the ocean is not a machine to be emptied. But even a fraction could light cities, power industries, and hum quietly in the background of human life. Each wave is small when seen at the shore, but in truth, each is part of a planetary cycle energy, moving ceaselessly, endlessly repeating. The hum continues, softly repeating, as energy rests in waters rise and fall. Asterisks the challenges of tidal power, yet the ocean resists easy capture. Salt corrodes metal. Waves wear down machines, and tides are strongest in places far from where people live. Turbines beneath the waves must endure storms, shifting sands, migrating creatures. Tidal energy is real, but it requires patience, persistence, humility before the sea. Humans must learn not to dominate, but to harmonize. The technology must become as steady as the tides themselves. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, the ocean reminds us of its vastness. Life that lives by the tides. As humans seek to harness tides, we are reminded that countless creatures already depend on them. Mussels cling to rocks that vanish beneath high water and reappear at low tide. Fish move in and out of estuaries, feeding in rhythm with the moon. Seaweed rises and falls, stretched on invisible strings of gravity. To harness tides is to step into a system already full of life. We must do so gently, with balance, respecting the quiet choreography of ecosystems. The hum continues, softly repeating, as life moves with the same rhythm as machines may one day follow. Symbolic power beyond utility, tides carry meaning. They remind us of cycles, revival and departure, fullness and emptiness, beginnings and endings that are never truly final. They symbolize change, yet also return. To imagine powering cities with tides is to imagine living by a deeper calendar. One not written by clocks or markets, but by the moon. It would tie human progress more closely to celestial rhythm, reconnecting industry with nature's breath. The night is quiet, and the tides remind us of belonging. The moon as a hidden engine. It's strange to think that every lamp lit by tidal power would, in truth, be powered by the moon, the same face that glows above fields and cities, gazed upon by poets and wanderers, would also power computers, lights, and homes. The moon, then, is not just a beauty, its engine, generator, keeper of time and tide. Its pull is not just poetic, but practical. It binds oceans, and perhaps one day, entire civilizations to its rhythm. The hum continues, softly repeating, as the moon pulls both seas and societies forward. Looking forward, perhaps, in centuries to come, tidal power will become common. Turbines will hum beneath waves, barrages will fill and empty with grace, and cities will glow by the patience of the sea. Perhaps children will grow up knowing that the light in their homes begins in the moon, travels through the tides, and ends in a bulb or a screen. They will learn that their lives depend on a rhythm older than humanity, softly repeating in silence. The night is quiet, and in that quiet, futures glimmer faintly, bridged toward the next reflection. The tides hold power, but they also hold memory. Each cycle has repeated since Earth was young, shaping coasts, guiding life, and leaving patterns written into stone. To look deeper, we must turn to the tides of long ago ancient seas, ancient rhythms written in fossils and rocks, reminders of how the moon once held us closer. The hum continues, softly repeating as we drift from hidden power toward ancient memory. The tides we see today are quiet, gentle, steady. They rise, they fall, never in haste, never in storm. Yet the tides of long ago were not like this. They were larger, wilder, pulled by a moon that stood closer to the earth. In those days, the seas surged farther inland, retreated more sharply, shaped the planet in ways we can still see carved into stone. The night is quiet, but in memory. The tides once roared. A younger moon, when the moon first formed, billions of years ago, it was far closer to Earth. Most scientists believe it was born from a colossal impact when a young Earth collided with another planet-sized body. From the debris, the moon emerged, glowing hot, circling tightly around our world. Back then, the tides were immense. The moon's pull was fierce, dragging the oceans up into towering bulges. Instead of the familiar daily rhythm, the seas surged more violently, their cycles shorter, their reach deeper inland. The hum continues, softly repeating as we remember a younger Earth. The Earth's slow dance over time, the moon drifted away. Each year, it moves about 4 centimeters farther into the sky. This is still happening now, so slowly that human eyes will never notice. But across billions of years, the change is vast. When the moon was half its current distance, the tides it pulled were many times stronger. Imagine shorelines not shifting by a few meters, but by kilometers. Imagine estuaries drowned and revealed again and again every day. Life itself had to adapt to this constant upheaval. The night is quiet, yet the past remembers restless seas. Fossils that tell the story rocks remember. Within ancient cliffs and fossilized tidal flats, scientists find evidence of the tides long ago. Layers of sediment record the rise and fall of water, rippled patterns frozen in stone. Fossils of early organisms, simple shells, tiny creatures show growth lines tied to ancient tides. Some fossils even capture daily rhythms, microscopic bands in shells and corals that record how many tides passed in a year. From these, we learn that billions of years ago, Earth had more days in its year because it spun faster. Pulled by the friction of the tides, the hum continues, softly repeating. In the patience of stone, life, shaped by tides, life began in the oceans, and from the beginning, it moved to the rhythm of the tides. Shallow pools filled and emptied, creating cycles of concentration and dilution, warmth and exposure. These pools may have been the very laboratories of life, where chemistry, stirred and combined, tested and repeated. Later, when life became more complex, the tides gave opportunities for creatures to adapt. Some learned to cling to rocks, others to burrow, others to move with the water. The tug of the moon sculpted behaviors as surely as it sculpted shorelines. The night is quiet, and life still remembers the rhythm of the past. Ancient tidal landscapes. If we could walk the coasts of the early earth, we would not recognize them. The tides would tower, rolling far beyond the limits of today's waves. Beaches would stretch and vanish twice a day. The roar of retreating seas would echo across continents. In these shifting landscapes, the earliest ecosystems grew. Mats of microbes coated tidal flats, catching sunlight when the water withdrew, then submerging again when the ocean returned. These simple mats laid down layers that hardened into stromatile stone records of ancient life that still stand in parts of the world today. The hum continues, softly repeating, as stone carries the memory of water, the tides, and Earth's rotation. The tides of long ago did more than shape coasts, they slowed the Earth itself. Each surge of ocean water pulled on the planet's spin like a hand dragging on a wheel. This friction gradually lengthened our days. Billions of years ago, a day was only 18 hours long. The tides stretched it, pulling Earth into the rhythm we know now. 24 hours of light and dark. The very length of time, the pace of days and nights, was carved by the tides. They were not just movement of water, but movement of time. The night is quiet, and time itself is a memory of tides. A planet in transition, the tides of long ago remind us that Earth is never still. The moon drifts outward. The tides soften. The days lengthen. What feels eternal, the rise and fall of seas, the turn of time is, in truth, a slow transformation. We live in a calmer era, but the memory of greater tides lingers. The rocks, the fossils, the slow spin of the planet all whispered the same truth. The tides were once more powerful, and they will continue to change. The hum continues, softly repeating, as the Earth turns beneath a shifting moon. Lessons from the ancient seas. The story of ancient tides is not just history, it's guidance. It shows how life adapts to change, how ecosystems evolve in shifting landscapes, how even the planet's spin bends to the pull of the sea. It reminds us that nothing is fixed. The calm tides of today are not permanent, but part of a longer journey. Perhaps in distant futures, the tides will grow weaker still, the days longer, the moon farther away. Perhaps new forms of life will rise, adapted to those slower rhythms. Just as we live in the quiet breath of today, they will live in the long sighs of tomorrow. The night is quiet and still. The tides carry lessons across time, human connection. To ancient tides even, without fossils or calculations, humans have always felt the pull of the sea. Ancient myths told of gods who controlled tides, of spirits that guided water. These stories, passed from generation to generation, are echoes of the same recognition that the tides are powerful, mysterious, essential. When we walk beaches today, we are touching the edge of a cycle, billions of years old. Each footprint in sand is erased by water that has been moving since the dawn of the moon. The hum continues, softly repeating as human memory joins Earth's memory, bridged toward the next reflection. The tides of long ago were powerful, shaping not just coasts, but time, life, and the rhythm of the planet. Yet, even these mighty forces are not eternal. Stars themselves, greater than moons and seas, live and die. The ocean remembers, but the universe remembers too. To follow the rhythm of endings, we must look not at Earth, but at the stars above, where lives longer and shorter than our own unfold in silence. The night is quiet, softly repeating as we drift from the tides of Earth to the fates of stars. The tides have been moving since the birth of the moon. They have risen, they have fallen, in patterns older than mountains, older than forests, older even than the continents themselves. Build tonight. They move as they always have, quietly, patiently, endlessly. The ocean and the moon are bound together, partners in a dance that will not stop. The water bends toward the moon's pull, not rushing, but leaning. The earth turns beneath this pull, and so the seas move in cycles. It is not noise, but rhythm. Not storm, but breath. The night is quiet, and the dance continues. The eternal rhythm every day. The earth turns once on its axis. Every month, the moon circles once around the earth. Together, these motions create the tides. K, dance of water and light, gravity and motion. It is a rhythm we cannot silence. K, even when storms rage, even when rivers flood, the tide remains steady beneath it all. It rises, it falls, twice each day, without fail. It has done so for billions of years, and it will do so for billions more. The hum continues, softly repeating, as the ocean keeps its time. A partnership across distance. The moon never touches the seas, yet its influences everywhere along the coasts of the world. Okay? From the Arctic to the tropics, from quiet coves to vast estuaries. The pull of the moon is written in every rise of water. Even the far side of Earth feels the tide. For water there, too, bulges outward, responding to the balance of forces. The Earth itself bends slightly, wrapped in liquid movement. It is a reminder that nothing is truly separate. All things respond to each other's presence. The night is quiet. The partnership continues. The sun joins the dance, though the moon is the leader. The sun joins this rhythm. Its gravity is weaker at Earth's surface than the moon's, but still it adds its pull. When the sun and moon align, their influence combines, and tides grow higher, swelling into what we call spring tides. When they oppose, tides soften into nip tides. The sun's hand is distant but steady, shaping the dance along with the moon. Together, they orchestrate the oceans, the coasts, the lives of countless creatures who depend on these rhythms. The hum continues, softly repeating, as two celestial partners guide the seas. Life entwined with the dance. Every shoreline creature, every migrating fish, every seabird lives by the timing of tides. Barnacles open and close with the waves. Crabs scuttle in search of food. Countless plants release seeds or spores into waters that will carry them on the rising tide. Humans too have built their lives by this dance. Farmers in river deltas, planted by the tides. Sailors navigated with a pool of water. Cities rose and fell, protected or threatened by these cycles. The moon, without a voice, has spoken across human history, guiding our movements as surely as it guides the seas. Night is quiet, and life continues to listen. Energy hidden in the dance within the tides lies immense power. Every rise and fall carries stored energy across the world. Engineers dream of harnessing it, capturing the turning of water through turbines, making the dance of moon and sea into light for cities. Already, small projects hum quietly along coasts, where tidal energy is captured to power homes. If perfected, this rhythm could one day sustain us endlessly, for the tides will not stop as long as the moon circles Earth. The hum continues, softly repeating, as the tides themselves whisper of the future, the drift into tomorrow yet. The dance is not entirely unchanging. The moon drifts away, slowly, each year. Centimeter by centimeter, it pulls farther from Earth. The tides weaken as the distance grows. The days lengthen as the Earth's spin slows, but these changes are measured in millions of years. For now, and for countless generations to come, the tides will rise and fall as they always have. The dance is endless on the scale of human life. The night is quiet, and the ocean leans toward the moon. A rhythm beyond us. The scale of this rhythm humbles us. Civilizations rise and fall in the span of thousands of years. Languages, cities, cultures vanish, but the tides remain. They were here before the first words, before the first fires, before life walked on land. They will be here long after our footprints wash away. This is the comfort of the endless dance, that it continues without us, beyond us, carrying Earth through the quiet turning of time. The hum continues, softly repeating, as water bends and Earth turns. The dance written in stone even when seas retreat and landscapes dry. The memory of tides remains in stone. Fossils, ripples, layered sediments record the dance. We read them like a diary of water, a history of movement. The moon may drift, the oceans may shift, but the earth itself remembers. And in this remembering, we see the depth of the dance, the patience of cycles, the endlessness of motion. The night is quiet, and stone holds the echo of waves. Toward the stars, the dance of ocean and moon is not unique. Across the universe, countless worlds must have their own moons, their own tides. On distant planets, alien seas may rise and fall beneath alien skies. Perhaps there, too, life listens to the rhythm of orbits and water. We are part of a larger story, a cosmic dance where gravity ties worlds to their companions. Earth's tides are one verse in this greater music. The hum continues, softly repeating, as the universe itself turns, bridged toward the next reflection end. So the tides endure. They will not stop tomorrow or ever, not as long as the moon orbits and Earth turns. The dance is the oldest, the most patient, the most certain rhythm we know. But beyond tides, beyond Earth, lies a wider vastness, the universe itself, expanding outward, carrying galaxies like lanterns in the dark. To leave the shores of Earth, we must lift our gaze to that quiet, endless sky. The night is quiet, softly repeating, and the stars wait to begin their story.